Hello and welcome back to the Colorless set review for March of the Machine Limited. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about the 10 or so colorless and land cards of the set. It's going to be a quick one. So in case you haven't seen this, I'm not going to hide my camera this time. Usually I hide the camera because this is like a short video. I mean, there's 5 tiers. I rated 5 tiers. If you haven't seen the 5 tiers before, here's the tiers. There they are. They're right there. In case you're confused as to what they are. Tier 1's good. Tier 5's bad. Right away, we're hopping right into it. Flywheel Racer. 2 mana, 3/2 Vigilance vehicle. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. You can only activate it if it's a creature, and you crew 1. Now this card, I don't know, man. Like, this card feels bad, right? Because you're attacking as a 3/2 Vigilance, which is fine. That's fine. It's like fine or whatever. But like, crew 1's good. It's where you want to be when you're crewing stuff. Crew 1 is not bad. And I don't know. The fixing here is not very good. Obviously, right? It just isn't a good way to fix, because you need to have it be a creature to fix, and that means you're taking another. Like, it's just basically costing 2 creatures to fix your mana. It's just really tough ask, but like, maybe it's just good enough. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be good, though. That's kind of my take on it. Next, Halo Hopper, 3 mana, 3/2 with Convoke. Yeah, I just don't really think this card's that good, to be honest with you. Like, you get a free Convoke guy, but that's not even that good. I just don't think there's any synergies with this card, really. It just kind of exists and hangs out, and that's all. That's all it does. It's not really anything interesting. It just kind of is there. That's all it does. Yeah. Next, Kite Sail, 2 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has flying, and it's equipped for 2. I actually like this card. It was very good in Bro, and by very good I mean it performed better than I thought it would, which is to say it was playable. In Bro, like, this card was decent, and actually I think it's going to be decent again because of battles. Like being able to fly over stuff is going to be even better. Being able to flip your battles. This thing's just going to flip battles. It's like a machine, you know what I mean? And in Brothers War, this thing presented like a real threat. Like, it was actually like a real win, like, closer. Like, it really closed the game. It really felt that way. I do expect this to sort of fill a similar role. The question is if the format's too fast for it. If the format's too fast for it, it's going to be very bad. But I actually think this card's going to be playable in like a decent number of decks. Phyrexian Archivist, 6 mana for a 4/5 with reach, and you can pay 2 to put a card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. This is not a good card. It just doesn't do enough. It's very slow. It wasn't even that good in Strixhaven, where there's so much. It's probably going to be a slower format. It may not be. It may end up not being slower somehow, if this is like some of the slowest format of all time. But this is just a low impact card for the amount of mana you have to spend on it, and that's kind of all I have to say about it. Next, Realmbreaker, the Invasion Tree. I'm not going to bother reading this card because it is not a card that is good for limited. Essentially, it's a 3 mana artifact that allows you to pay 2 and get your opponent's lands and ramp, but that's not good. And there's like this 10 thing, or if you have a bunch of Praetors, you can like sacrifice it and then get Praetors on the battlefield, which is cool. But like, I don't know. This card is just not. It's not it. You know what I mean? If you have 2 Praetors, and then maybe you could consider playing this, I guess. Even then, I don't think it's that good. Like, the Praetors are nuts, but this card is just not it. Next, Skittering Surveyor. A reprint. 3 mana, 3 colorless mana for a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic layer card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So this card has a pedigree. People know this card. People think this card's great. I think the card is still good, although I think in this format it is going to be maybe worse than it was in the past. Obviously, cards have gotten better since the last time it was printed. It is 3 mana. I do think that impacting the board is going to be at a premium in this format, given how important attacking battles is going to be. So I have tempered expectations for this being decent. I think it's still a relatively decent card. You can put it. I don't know. Like, this is not like a card that I know that you're going to be able to put in your deck. If the format's slow, the card's just gas. The card's just insanely good. It allows you to splash, all that good stuff. But if it's not, if it ends up being a somewhat fast format, it just is really, really tough to see this finding a place. Next, Sword of Once and Future. 3 mana sword, equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from black. And from blue as well, whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you surveil 2, and you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put into your graveyard, exile it. And it's 2 to equip. So it's like all the other swords in the sword cycle. This one does not seem super powerful and limited to me, but it's just a good... Like the equipment itself is just good. Like the 3 mana +2/+2 equipment is just a solid card and limited. So it getting some upside and surveilling is great. It's not as good as the green one last set, which I think ended up being like a tier 1 card because red-green was the best deck. Honestly, it was part of the reason it was a tier 1 card. But this card's still going to be good. It's going to be a good card. You're going to be happy you have it. You're never going to cut it. You're always going to play it. Hates on blue-black. Next, Urn of Godfire. Single colorless mana for an artifact. You can pay 2 and add 1 mana of any color, which is basically like filtering, kind of. And you pay 6 and tap it and sacrifice this and destroy target creature or enchantment. So I don't know, like this card is interesting to me in the sense that there are some, I have some thoughts. I'm like, there's inklings, or I'm like, maybe this is like kind of okay fixing, but like then you're like, it's actually fixing, so it's just not actually good. Cause it's not like usually these effects are very bad. I expect this to be pretty bad. So I don't know. This could surprise me. I'm leaving room for it to surprise me, but I'm not having any high hopes, So next is the lands. The only lands to talk about is the Bloodfell Caves cycle. Enter battlefield tapped, you gain a life. They're solid. They're not great. You don't want to like load up on them, especially if the format ends up being fast, which I do think that it's likely to be, but I could be wrong. It could end up not being the case, but they are solid, but not anything special. And the final card of the entire set is Invasion of Ravnica. 5 colorless mana for a 4 defense battle. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls that isn't exactly 2 colors. And it transforms into Guildpact Paragon, which is a 5/5 that when you cast a spell that's exactly 2 colors, you look at the top 6 cards of your library, you may reveal a card that's exactly 2 colors from among them and put it into your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. Yeah, I mean, you don't need this card to be like doing anything insane. It's it just is great. It only has 4 toughness. It probably flips immediately. Even if you don't ever draw any cards off it, which you probably won't, it's great. Yes, sometimes it doesn't hit exactly the thing you want. I'm sorry you can't have it all, But a very solid card, great card. You're always going to play it. This is just like you always pack one, pick one. This pretty much. There's almost no card you're going to take over this. I don't think. I can't imagine it. Just due to flexibility purposes. I mean, maybe you take the White Angel thing over this, but this is a rare, so you're never going to have that pick. So that's it for me. I think that's the whole limited set. So I'm done. I'm off the clock. I'm over it in many ways. See you.